have in the NIPS Instant Pay is a locally developed API by our staff. And so most of the things we do in NIPS today rely on our people. And so if you want to even build legacies, what legacies do you currently have? We have legacies that must be built around people, processes, performances, and purpose. Did we clearly define the purpose for which fintech are needed? Yes, we've defined it, that they are supposed to enable participation and fair conduct among the operators in the financial system. They're supposed to allow for responsiveness, promptness of activities, promptness of financial intermediation is what people want. People are tired or never even want the so-called a la carte meal. They want something they will get instantly. And so in terms of responsiveness, how has fintech assisted? Fintech and the competencies we have locally, that doesn't even necessitate us running from pillar to pole, looking for competent hands to run our system, has introduced a lot of efficiency and effectiveness into our processes. We have more openness among even the operators. If there is a discussion that needed to be held in terms of growing the financial system today, it's not hard for you to bring the practitioners in the banking industries to the table. You bring practitioners in the pension industries to the table. Insurance will bring them to the table. Capital market will bring them to the table because of the support that we are getting from the fintech that doesn't recognize the dichotomy of territories. And so it's important for us to equally know that in the course of even developing these competencies, we rely on the rule of law. Standards are set across regulatory framework, and the regulators are there to manage it. Today, you cannot talk of the financial system without talking about telecoms. Is the NCC up to its responsibilities? Yes. Because anytime there is even any form of divergent view between the banks and the telecommunication operators, NIPS is able to bring everybody to the table to say we have to discuss, because one way or the other, we have realized that the capacity of the telecoms industry is needed to run the activities in the banking industry and the financial system as a whole. And what do? Is to innovate and continue to take challenges that the customers are bringing to the table for us to grow. And then, in terms of our planning has gone beyond short-term processes. We are looking at long-term processes because the generations that are coming after us are more impatient than us. And so as much as possible, even as present managers of companies, fintech, financial system, and so on, everyone realizes that accountability and sound financial management becomes necessary. But the question we now need to ask ourselves is, have we really gained from fintech incursion into the financial system? We have. And it is not limited to fintech alone. Everybody is competing for the same fund that the fintech are trying to access. Today, you hear of e-commerce, you hear of e-health, you hear of logistics, you have of edtech, you hear of energy, you hear of agri-tech and transportation. Have we, as fintech, been able to play a leading role, a trusted role for us to even be invited to come and take the funds that are available? Statistics are there to tell us that in the year 2021, over 1,038,406,500. Everybody is competing for the same fund that the fintech are trying to access that has to do with. Today, you hear of e-commerce. Out of it, you hear of e-health. You hear of the economy got. You have 536. You hear of energy million. You have of agri-tech and transportation 0.038 billion. have we,
representing
as Fintech,
59.4%,
been able to play a leading
funding
role,
that comes to
a trusted role
to
for
drive
us to even be invited to come and take the
to
funds
drive startups
that are available?
And the question again
Statistics
is,
are
even
there
while bringing the money
to tell
in,
us that in the year
if I assured the investors
2021,
that this is what I'm going to use
over
this fund
1
for,
billion,
have we been able to have the
38
desired
billion social impact,
We can comfortably tell us
everybody
today
is competing
that the number of
for
people
the
that
same
were employed in
funds that the
Fintech
Fintech
and
trying to
by
access
Fintech
that has to do with
today you
close
hear
to
of
20
out of
thousands.
it,
You hear of
e-health, 17,000 naira and
hear
50 to be precise, while the employees that can be traced to even startups that sought funds, the ones that sought funds that had to make a declaration that this is the social impact of the fund I got from you, is more of providing employment for 17,915 workforce in Africa. Did Nigeria actually make the necessary impact? Nigeria was able to employ 5,446 additional workforce by these fintechs that sourced for fund and got it. In that respect, it becomes necessary for us to realize that fintech is not only the bride everybody is running after. Everybody has some other sources, like I mentioned, of e-commerce, e-health, energy, transportation. Move is there in Nigeria today. Who do we rely on? Before Move came into Nigeria, we were relying on Uber. But now with the incursion and the engendering of confidence in foreign investors, we're able to get investors to come into the fintech space and invest. Flutterwave, for instance, then if we now come to company level, we now begin to look at across Africa, who are the individuals, who are the companies that are able to get funding from foreign donors. Flutterwave from Nigeria, for instance, got $170 million US. That is a fintech. We have MTN Alan, an Egyptian company that got 120 million in 2021 alone. We have Trade Depot, a Nigerian retail tech company that got 110 million. And that dovetails down even to Daystar Power. That is an energy driving company that equally got a sum of 62 million. What does that tell us? That we are daily gaining. We are gaining, we are making the desired impact in terms of ensuring that fintech contributes significantly to growth and is able to power innovation and economic growth. But the question that remains in the top of our mind today is, has this funding been growing? Yes, we have a table that shows that in 2015, we were only able to get 185 million US. But by 2021, we were able to get, Africa was able to get as much as 2,148,517,500 US. Meaning that from 185 million, we have been able to cross the threshold of 2-something billion. Do we have the potential to sustain this? Which is the question that is the keynote address is addressing today. If we have been able to build confidence over the period, and we've made foreign donors and even loan disbursing institutions to trust us that will use whatever fund is given to fintech effectively, it will make the desired impact. How do we sustain this legacy? We need to still build confidence across the various operators in the financial system. Today, you see that even the CBN is licensing more and more players in the financial system. 5 years ago, we still had the discount houses playing dominant role. With mergers, acquisitions, and so on, discount houses are moving into merchant banking. But today, again, 3 years ago, we never had anything called payment service banks. But today we have 5 licensed payment service banks. What does that tell us? Majority of these ones Money Master, for instance, is powered by Glo. 9PSB is powered by 9 Mobile. Hope PSB, UPSL here. And then we have Smart Cash by Airtel and Momo by MTN. Do we trust ourselves? Now, that means the financial system and the telecom sector. Whatever we have been telling the telecommunication sector in the years past, that there is need for us to ensure efficiency and low-cost processing of transactions. Will it not become more glaring to the PSBs now and even their promoters that we are not just fighting for low-cost service delivery, but because as we grow the latitude of operations of the financial system and exposures, we all need to do it at reduced cost. While doing it at reduced cost, efficiency that is desired from each of the players must be ensured and assured. And that is why this comes as an appeal, even from NIPS as standard setter for the payment system, that we need to still look at the people, process, purpose of the fintech more and more for the financial system, and ensure that we have greater and improved accessibility of the services the financial system offers to the hinterland. We've done enough in the metropolitan cities. How do we penetrate into the hinterland? That is a mission that we must set to do. And it requires trust. It requires cooperation. The days of saying, I'm competing with this person is gone. Institutions today collaborate, cooperate to ensure that service is delivered to the last mile customer. At what pace are we responding to the needs of the market? As much as it is necessary, we need to ensure that infrastructure optimization is equally put as a top burner. It's not just enough for us to say we have infrastructures. I build my own in silos, this one builds its own in silos, and so on. If there is no convergence, there is no way the desired impact of fintech inclusion and inclusion. Because I believe strongly that even while talking about financial inclusion, we should equally be talking about fintech inclusion in our processes. Fintech inclusion in our processes, because you cannot do anything that will make you meet the needs of the market as fast as desirable if we don't build that bridge of trust between the licensed institutions and these fintech companies. And the CBN has been magnanimous enough to ensure that licenses are not only given to banks. Fintechs are beginning to be the owners of MMOs. They are beginning to be the owners of microfinance banks. A lot of them at one point or the other will own banks of their own. We saw what happened to the Polaris during the week, for instance. Was it acquired by a multinational? Behind this are some fintech initiatives that feels that, okay, what is needed now to drive the operation of this bank is for us to introduce technology into whatever is being done. And don't close your mind to the fact that opportunities only exist with the currently licensed institutions. We have about 3 banks that have been recently licensed by the CBN. You think they want to do brick and mortar banking? No. Everybody wants to adapt technology to deliver services to the last mile customer. But for fintech, we need to address the challenge of locating you. Even while you are driving financial inclusion, driving financial intermediation, where can I locate you? You don't only exist in the cloud. While seeking your licensing, you gave a locational address and you gave some operations an operating location. If we get there, will we find you? Let's sustain our confidence in each other. Let's sustain trust. Let's build bridges of collaboration in such a way that when the roll call comes, we'll continue to engender confidence of the public we are serving and the investors that want to pool resources for us to make the desired impact in the financial intermediary role that Fintech are driving. And above all, it is not the funds that the Fintech are sourcing today is not only for you. Other competing needs, I imagine, that are competing for this same fund, but be accountable, be accessible, and work more with as many partners as possible that are in the system to grow the economy of Africa, nations of the world, and in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen,